11-year-old Charlotte Nebrez is breaking racial barriers with her impressive performance as Marie in The Nutcracker. She is the first Black young woman ever to play that leading role in the New York City Ballet's production. Former ballet star Tony Williams has broken barriers for more than half a century. His urban Nutcracker in Boston incorporates dance styles from hip-hop to flamenco and Mexican folk. More than 75 kids from different ethnic and economic backgrounds are part of this year's production. It all supports the mission, diversity through dance.
The first show was like, oh my God, is this going to, fail? But the applause was just tremendous.
This holiday season marks 19 years of Boston's urban Nutcracker, cast and crew as diverse as the choreography and music.
You have diversity in the dance styles, diversity in the music, diversity in the cast on the stage, because we're a multiracial, multicultural cast, and also in the audience.
Was that your intent, or is that how this has happened?
It was sort of a dream. It just happened.
The show's creator, Tony Williams, became the Boston Ballet's first African-American principal dancer in the late 60s, a driving force in his desire to give opportunity to underrepresented youth.
I started dance late. I was 16, but before that, as a very young kid, I was in street gangs here in Boston and getting into trouble. So dance sort of saved my life.
That's no little thing.
That's true. Some of the guys in the gang most of the guys are dead, or some went to jail, so I was really fortunate.
Jason Jordan, a new dancer in this year's show, also considers himself fortunate.
As a dancer who comes from an urban neighborhood, it just made sense to me. It was like being home. And since I was trained classically, it just molded it together in a way that it felt really natural for me.
Slow, good boy.
Jordan teaches dance at a Boston public school in an underserved community. By recruiting some of his students for the show, he's given it new flavor and his kids a new outlook. What have you found about bringing these kids that maybe weren't exposed to dance before into the fold here?
That's the most important thing to me, is having these kids, when they're done with me, I teach at a K through 8, when they're done with 8th grade and they're beautiful dancers, where do they go?
Mm-hmm. And now they have a place.
Now they have a place.
Yes.
And professional dancing.
It's a place that didn't seem to exist for Erica Lamb when she was dancing as a young girl in Boston. Lamb wasn't offered the lead role of Clara in The Nutcracker because she was Black.
That's the first time I realized that my skin color was going to be, something I'd have to think about, if I wanted to do ballet. It was Boston in the late 70s, busing was going on, racial tensions were pretty high. But my mom was brought into the director's office and they said, we love your daughter, she's very talented, but it's a period piece and this is Boston and we just don't know really how people are going to react.
In this urban rendition, Lamb is playing the role of Clara's mother.
In this day and age, ballet isn't like 15th century aristocracy anymore, anybody can do ballet and anybody can be a family.
Part of that family is a wide-ranging group of young dancers. Show of hands, how many of you had seen the classic Nutcracker before you started doing urban Nutcracker?
Every year my parents would my mom and grandma would take me to see the Nutcracker, the Boston Ballet, but then he came along in my life. And then, so I seen his show. I'm like, Mom, I gotta do this, or I'm gonna die.
It was just different for me, and it made me want to start doing it. My mom was nagging me hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do the urban Nutcracker? I was like, oh, I'll try it, and I've been here ever since.
If you had to sum up in a couple words what the experience of doing this show is like for you, what would you say?
Amazing. Yeah. Incredible, spectacular, fun, and it's worth it.
Sharing that joy is what makes it all worthwhile for Tony Williams.
Because of 3,000 people, there might be one little girl or one boy that comes that is going to be transformed, and it's going to save one life. And that
the way it saved your life.
Yes, yeah. And so that's why I do it. It's like I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but it's the young kids. It's like, how could I not do this for them? They look forward to it every year.
And again, almost 20 years of this. And in an effort for him to bring dance to all kids, there's a new program and a dance apprenticeship that they're launching in January. And it will be for kids who show promise but can't afford high levels of dance training. The goal, to have more professional dancers of color. I feel like we talk about this a lot,
we do,
but it's the idea that when you see somebody who looks like you doing something, suddenly you say, I can do that. And especially with this and opening up the styles of dance, it's opened up the minds to ballet, because if you're brought in by the tap or by flamenco and then you see the ballet, you may be intrigued as well on that.
I love, Dana, when Jason tells you that he teaches kids in schools that are underserved and that he gets them into this program, because it's one thing to have a parent introduce you to George Balanchine's The Nutcracker. It's another to have a teacher and bring you along for the ride. That's wonderful.
And Drake, it almost goes back to the story that you brought us earlier of what's the next step. So it's great that you introduce them, but now how do they take that next step? And this is saying, yes, this can be a career for you. This can be something that you think about doing professionally.
Yeah, I love it.
Love it. Great piece.
Yeah, very well done.